AskReddit by sheer king hubris. What was the most mind-blowing form of idiocy you witnessed out in the world? The people who copy and paste a disclaimer on Facebook thinking it's some type of binding contract. Signed and notarized by the Zuck himself, I promise. I had someone once ask me how the map at the mall knows where we are. It doesn't know where we are, but it knows where the sign is. Oh my god. I'm laughing, but damn, maybe I should be crying. The person who argued with me that the state we live in couldn't have an earthquake because it wasn't earthquake season yet. What an absolutely terrifying prospect though, that a seasonal change would do that to tectonic movement. I once pissed on an electric fence, to prove you can't get a shock from pissing on an electric fence. Well, at least you were trying to provide concrete evidence to support your claim. That's better than most idiots by far. A lady came into the auto parts store I worked at stating her oil light was on. The car had 40k miles on it and she bought it with 10k on it. Never once changed the oil because she was under the impression her bank that she financed it from was to tell her when the oil needed to be changed. How do these people even exist within our world? 30 years ago a friend's mom said she couldn't eat peanut butter because she's lactose intolerant and it has butter in it, and I'm haunted by that to this day. Real live lactose intolerant person here, and even real butter isn't a problem. Lactose is water soluble, butter is almost pure fat, and the lactose has been wrung out of it long before it hits your butter dish. My sister was just learning to cook and called up my older sister and asked, "Is Pennsylvania a thawed state or an unthawed state?" I pulled some frozen broccoli out of the freezer and it says on the side to cook in an unthawed state. Oh my god, this one got me good LMAO. Four Seasons landscaping. That was the funniest goddamn thing I've ever seen. Toss up between a co-worker being told by a customer you'll never get a job with those tattoos while he was working at his job. Or a woman at a hot rod custom car show filling up her kid's tot rod with a jerry can while smoking. I had a woman just a few weeks ago in Georgia puffing a cigarette while filling her Mercedes. I said, "What the hell are you doing?" She gives me a dirty look and throws it on the ground. Didn't put it out. Just dropped it next to the pump. When I was a kid 12-13ish, me and my friends used to play down by a river. One day while down there a friend dropped something in the water and his logic, while wearing long sleeves, was that if he moved fast enough he could grab it out of the water without getting wet. This would save him the hassle of pulling his sleeve up. So, he went for it, and had a soaking wet sleeve. However, I, and the laws of physics, expected this outcome anyway. But the surprised look on his face when his sleeve got wet stays with me to this day. He couldn't believe it didn't work. So yeah, this might have an origin. I remember being told as a kid that if you ran in the rain, you wouldn't get as wet because the rain would miss you. It was such a popular myth that it landed on Mythbusters. Using an oxyacetylene torch to defrost a lock on the propane storage at a gas station. I once knew a dude who used a blowtorch on a fuel tank without checking it was empty first. My mother was shopping a few suburbs away and heard the inevitable results. He lived. Barely. This one time I had a conversation with my mom, who BTW is a nurse, about the pH scale. According to her it's unreliable, and just because something is ranked low on the pH scale, that doesn't mean that it's acidic. Why? Because according to her it doesn't make sense that a lemon and an orange would have different pH values, as both contain citric acid. I tried to tell her 3 different times that they have different concentrations of citric acid, hence why lemons are more acidic than oranges. She still didn't get it. As a nurse, I definitely graduated with people who studied simply to pass a test, not to gain knowledge and critical thinking skills to take with them into the field. can confirm that stupidity exists in our profession just like every other profession. Drunks with boats. I could offer endless examples. The best was watching them try to push the back end of the boat off a sandbar from the back while the prop was turning. The dude's fat belly was right at prop level a foot away and the boat was rolling away in the surf. I tried to tell that he get out of the way of the prop but he waved me off. Bro had it all handled. Complete moron. Lay out all of the drunk boater stories. I worked at a grooming shop with a girl who was not bright. We received a shipment of gluing shampoo and someone gave her a Sharpie and told her to label the bottles with a B. A bit of time passes and someone went to check what was taking so long. She had drawn a little bumblebee on each bottle. I can't remember the other things she did but I will never forget the bees. That's so cute NGL. You know when parents ask their kids if X jumped off a bridge, would you when that kid copies some idiot behavior from their friends? I grew up in a touristy coastal region. The answer is yes. Every year idiot teenagers on holiday did it. At least the idiot locals knew which cliffs and what high tide is. My mom asked me that question and I responded with is there water below. She was so angry at me. Apparently I have a Catholic name that I forgot about my mother used. I had someone who thought they were super smart look at a flat tire and tell me not to get upset as it was only flat on the bottom. My dad had an auto repair shop. Radiators were their specialty. A surprising number of people with leaky radiators were adamant that the leak was on the bottom. As a college astronomy instructor, a student came out to the student observatory to do the solar lab at around midnight. Nope, not an observatory above the Arctic Circle. People shooting guns off into the sky during celebrations. Yup. Never will forget when the girl in my grade, 5th at the time, died from this nonsense on the 4th of July. Years later someone even tried arguing with me that people can't die from falling bullets. Lots of dummies out there. I worked at O'Hare and wore a suit so people ask me for directions a lot. I was entering the airport and a business guy in a suit asked me where to find Southwest Airlines. Southwest did not fly out of O'Hare. They just started in the past year or so. They flew only out of Midway in Chicago. Then he asked how to get to Midway and how long it takes. I explained that a taxi would take at least an hour, probably more because it was rush hour. He got mad and swore. I walked away before he could blame me for his being at the wrong airport. I worked for a limo company, not for the airport or airlines. LMAO, your first sentence reminded me of how I went to a Christmas party last week in my work uniform and got stopped for directions every time I went to the bathroom. Even worse, the ghost of customer service present kicked in and possessed me each time before I knew what hit me. Working retail when Black Friday was a super big deal and watching people act like complete idiots over stupid things that they didn't really need. And then there were the 100 people camping out in front of Best Buys trying to get one of the 6 TVs on sale as doorbusters. Edit, I used to drive by there Thanksgiving evening just to see how many of them there actually were out there. Deleted. Well, the DJ wasn't lying. He probably was training for that his whole life. Literally every week at various airports, I lose a little more faith in humanity. People are so stupid at airports, especially the security line. Never ceases to amaze me. It's our agent near the line says over and over again to dump out liquids, dozens of signs about it near the line, and a big tub where other people dump their liquids. Still people are shocked when they get pulled aside or sent back for having liquids, every damn time. We got a new one single lane roundabout in town over the summer. I've seen 3 people driving the wrong way around it so far. I approached a roundabout from the south. 2 others were approaching from the east and west. East got there first and went halfway around, and stopped, and waved for West to pull out in front of him. West and I both stopped and stayed out of the circle, waiting for East to remember how roundabouts work. Right after 9/11 they changed all the windows on the base I lived on to plexiglass. My friend worked in the Burger King on the base. Her husband was in the same unit as mine. We all lived on the base together and we were aware of the changes. My friend had a huge fight with her husband before going to work. After she left, whatever insult she hurled at him finally worked its way through his peanut brain. He drove over to the Burger King to continue the fight. The restaurant wasn't open yet. He demanded she open the door. She didn't, and from the security footage looks like she flipped him off. He then picked up one of the cinder blocks that was lining the flower bed. He hurled it directly at the window with all of the strength in his noodle arms. It bounced right back at him and hit him square in the head. He was knocked to the ground. My friend and her co-workers laughed uncontrollably. They weren't married much longer after that. My state in Australia voted against daylight savings. The articles in the paper "I don't want my curtains to become more sun-bleached" followed by "it'll confuse the cows." Daylight curtain fading time.